But instead, something else starts. And it doesn't feel sudden. It feels like a continuation, but heavier. Like you finally reach that point where you thought things will settle. And for a moment, it does feel like that. You think, okay, now it's clear. Now I know what I'm doing. There's a job, there's a routine, there's structure. It looks stable from the outside. But after some time, that same structure starts feeling tight, like it's holding you in one place. Every day begins to look similar, not exactly the same, but close enough that you stop noticing the difference. And you don't question it immediately. You just keep going.
Yeah. And the strange part is, this is what we were working for, right? All that studying, all that pressure, it was supposed to lead here. So when it finally comes, you don't complain. You tell yourself, this is normal. This is what life looks like. You wake up, you get ready, you go to work, you come back, and then the next day starts again. It doesn't feel wrong, but it also doesn't feel complete. It's like you're doing everything you're supposed to do, but something inside is still unsettled, and you can't fully explain why.
And I think one thing that hits slowly is time. Like during studies, you felt busy, but you still felt like you had time. Now it feels different. The day starts, and before you even realize, it's over. And not because something exciting happened, just because it moved fast. You keep waiting for that moment where you feel relaxed, where you feel like you can breathe properly, but it doesn't come easily. Even on weekends, you feel tired more than free. And then Sunday ends, and that same cycle starts again.
And in between all this, you also start thinking differently about work. At first, it feels like something meaningful, like you're building something. But slowly, it becomes more about managing things. Tasks, deadlines, responsibilities. You don't always feel connected to what you're doing. You just keep doing it. And that disconnection is subtle. It doesn't shout. It just stays quietly in the background. Sometimes you notice it. Sometimes you ignore it. But it doesn't really go away.
There's also this moment. I don't know how to explain it properly, but it comes randomly. Like you're sitting, maybe after a long day, and suddenly a thought comes, is this it? Not in a dramatic way, just a simple question. And you don't have a clear answer. You try to brush it off. You tell yourself you're overthinking, but that question stays somewhere. And it comes back again, in different forms. Not every day, but enough to make you feel something is not fully clear.
And I feel like this is where the idea of money also changes. Earlier, it felt like money will solve things. Like once you earn, things will become easier. And yes, it does help. It gives comfort. It gives security. But it doesn't fix everything. Because the tiredness we're talking about, it's not just physical. It's something else. Something inside your head, inside your routine. And that doesn't go away just by earning more.
Yes. The strange thing is, even when you get free time, your mind doesn't fully slow down. You sit, but you're still thinking about work, about things you have to do, about what's coming next. It's like your body is resting, but your mind is still running. And slowly, that becomes normal too. You stop expecting that complete peace. You just adjust to this constant movement.
Maybe that's why people start feeling stuck. Not because they can't move, but because they don't know where to move. Everything looks okay from the outside, but inside, there's confusion. Not loud confusion, just a quiet kind, where you're not fully sure what you actually want. And because there's no clear answer, you keep following the same path, hoping it will make sense later.
The hardest part is, you don't even realize when this feeling becomes permanent. At first, it feels temporary, like just a phase, but then months pass, sometimes years, and it still feels the same. Not exactly bad, but not fully right either. And you start wondering, maybe this is just how life is supposed to be. Maybe this is what everyone goes through.
And in between all this, something else also starts changing. Slowly, quietly. The way you connect with people, the way you feel about relationships, it doesn't stay the same. Because when your own mind is not settled, it reflects in how you deal with others too.
Yeah, it's like, while you're trying to understand your own life, relationships also start becoming complicated without any clear reason. Yeah, it's like, while you're trying to understand your own life, relationships also start becoming complicated without any clear reason. Things don't break loudly, they just become quiet.
And that quiet feels normal at first. You think people are just busy, life is happening, nothing serious. But slowly, that silence becomes distance.
People you used to talk to daily, now you hesitate. Not because you don't care, but you don't know how to start anymore.
And it's strange, because inside, you still feel connected. But on the outside, everything feels slightly off. Like something is missing, but you can't point at it.
I think expectations also start growing here. You feel like they should understand me without you saying anything.
Yeah, and when that doesn't happen, it hurts in a quiet way. Not big fights, just small disappointments that stay inside.
And then overthinking starts. Like, did I say something wrong? Did they change? Or is it me?
Sometimes it's not even about right or wrong. People just grow differently, at different speeds, in different directions.
And that's hard to accept because you still remember how things used to be. You keep comparing without even realizing it.
And comparison in relationships is even heavier because it's emotional. You don't just lose time, you feel like you're losing connection.
Even when you're surrounded by people, there are moments where you feel alone. Not physically, but mentally.
That kind of loneliness is confusing because everything looks fine from the outside, but inside, it doesn't feel complete.
And sometimes you stop explaining yourself. Not because you don't want to, but because you feel like it won't be understood properly.
So you stay quiet, and slowly, that becomes your normal way of dealing with things.
And the more you stay inside your own thoughts, the more everything starts feeling distant, even the people who are close to you.
Maybe that's why relationships don't end, they just fade, very slowly, without any clear moment.
And you sit there thinking, how did it become like this when nothing big actually happened?
Maybe because life didn't give us time to notice. Things changed while we were busy figuring ourselves out.
Yeah, and while we were trying to understand life, we didn't realize we were also losing clarity in relationships.
And that confusion, it doesn't stay only in relationships. It slowly starts affecting how you see everything.
Like, if you don't feel clear with people, you start feeling unclear about yourself too.
And that's where things start getting deeper. Not outside, but inside your own mind.
And that's where things start getting deeper. Not outside, but inside your own mind. Like, everything is still there. Same life, same people, same routine. But the way you feel it changes. And I think that's the most confusing part. Because nothing clearly broke, nothing clearly went wrong. But still, it doesn't feel the same anymore.
'Cause we started thinking more than we used to. Not in a bad way, just more. Earlier, we were inside moments. Now we are outside them, watching them, analyzing them. And that distance, it changes how everything feels.
Like before, we didn't try to understand happiness, we just felt it. Now, even when something good happens, there's always a thought behind it. Like, why does this feel less? Or, is this enough? And those questions, they don't let the moment stay simple.
I don't think life suddenly became harder. I feel we became more aware. We started noticing things we didn't notice before. Small changes, small gaps, small discomforts. And once you see them, you can't unsee them.
That makes sense, because even during childhood, problems were there. It's not like everything was perfect, but we didn't carry things the same way. Now, even small things stay in the mind longer. They keep coming back, again and again.
That's where overthinking comes from. Not because life is too difficult, but because our mind doesn't stop easily anymore. It keeps searching, keeps questioning, even when there's no clear answer.
That's tiring in a different way. Not physically, but mentally. You're not doing anything, but still you feel exhausted. Like your mind has been running the whole day, even when your body hasn't.
I think somewhere in all this, we also forget something simple, that not everything needs to be understood completely. Some things can just be, without a full explanation.
But, like earlier, we didn't need reasons for everything. Now, we try to make sense of every feeling, every situation, every decision. And maybe that's why things feel heavier.
I'm not saying thinking is wrong. It's important. But when it becomes constant, when it doesn't stop, that's when it starts affecting how we feel.
So maybe the problem is not that life changed completely. Maybe the way we experience it changed.
That's a small difference, but it affects everything.
That also means maybe we don't need to fix everything outside. Maybe we need to slow down inside.
Not in a forced way. Not like stop thinking completely, but just giving yourself small pauses. Moments where you don't try to solve anything.
Like sitting quietly, without needing a reason. Just being there, without planning the next step.
Because maybe that's what we had before. Not a perfect life, but a quieter mind.
And we thought we lost that. But maybe it's still there, just covered, under all the noise, all the thinking, all the pressure.
Slowly, if we start noticing small things again, like we used to, maybe that feeling can come back in a different way.
Not exactly the same, but something close. Something that feels a little lighter.
Because life doesn't really go back. It just moves forward. But how we experience it, that can still change.
Not a perfect solution. Not a complete answer. Just a different way of seeing things.
Sometimes clarity doesn't come as a big realization. It comes quietly when you stop forcing it.
And I think that's what this whole journey shows. Nothing changed in one moment. It was always gradual.
Childhood felt simple. Then things became structured, then heavy, then confusing.
And now, maybe it's not about going back, but understanding where we are.
And accepting that every phase feels different, and that's okay.
Because maybe life is still simple.
We just don't see it the same way anymore.